great to have you here this morning. Thank you for being here. Visitors, we're so grateful to see you. Family members, back seeing family. What a joy to have you here this morning. It really is. It's just a joy. Had a wonderful trip with Maureen to the UK. I'll tell you about some of it tonight. Can't get into it today, but we had a real good time. Got to talk with some people who were struggling with marriage and of course, Maureen was sitting with this little couple from Antrim, and they just took to her, and they were having problems, and she was telling them all of her years of experience how to have a good marriage, how to have a perfect marriage. And she was telling them, and she kept saying to me, the little guy won't smile. And he right now just sat there and he wouldn't smile. And she kept saying, we won't smile. After about 15, 20 minutes, I noticed the poor guy had no teeth. In Northern Ireland, they don't go to the dentist like they go over here. He just didn't have one poor little teeth in his head. He didn't want to smile because he'd smile and show his gums. But she had a good time. She got to see her family. And she got to talk to a lot of people about marriage and family and stuff like that. Let me say right up front this morning, I can't alter the past. But I can put the past on the altar of God. I can place the past on God's altar. I wished I had been a better father. I wished I had been a better husband. But I was just so human, and I was the product of my upbringing. It doesn't excuse one thing that I'd done. But my dad done some crazy things, and I guess I took some of his traits. I'm not trying to excuse myself and say, you know, but honestly, I just wish I I could do it over again, but I can't. But I love my children, I love my wife, I love my family, but I can't do it over again. There's some things I just can't take back. So I just have to leave it on the altar of God. I just have to leave it where it belongs. Now, I'm saying that to say I'm not preaching to you how to have a happier this, because I'm still learning and I'm still struggling. But I know some have drifted. And I know that there's some who are disillusioned with God. And I know there are many who are tired of the struggle. And the family unit is busted. And I do believe that the home is a vital part of the church as the nation. As goes the home, the church, and the nation. And I don't believe a nation is any stronger morally or spiritually than its homes. And I think the family structure has gone. The drugs, the alcohol, the juvenile delinquency, the crime, no respect for adults or parents or government or anything else. There is nothing more rewarding, more satisfying than being a member of a Christ-oriented, Christ-filled home. A home where love is evident. Unconditional love. Every single day. And I believe such a home is a little foretaste of heaven. God is at the center, where the family circle will never be unbroken. The home where the husband and the wife know everything about each other, and they're deeply in love with one another, and they love each other unconditionally. The home where the golden rule is practiced. Matthew 7:12. Treat others the way you want to be treated. The home where the children know and they feel that they're wanted. Not just put up with. Not just tolerated and clothed. The home where parents listen to their children. My dad never listened to me. He was so busy making a living, making a life. I remember when he was 90, I said, Dad, why don't we talk? He said, we did. He saw it one way and I saw it another way. I said, why did I tell me you love me? He said, I did. and he was getting it. We didn't communicate. We didn't talk with each other. We didn't sit at the table and we didn't tell each other, you know, on the phone, I love you, I miss you, drive safe. We didn't do that. He would hit me in the head. I guess that was his way of saying, I love you, son, right? But home where parents listen to their children and they're able to talk about the problems and they're able to make the decisions. In Ephesians chapter 6:4, where they bring them up in the admonition and the love of the Lord. A home where children respect their parents. Colossians 3 verse 20 says, for this is well pleasing in the Lord. A home where every member rejoices at the success of the other. No jealousy. Why would I be jealous of my brother or my sister or my wife? My wife got recognized today and I'm so jealous. Why? A home where we can rejoice with others who rejoice and cry and mourn with others who cry. A home where harsh words, malicious judgment are out of place. And yes, divorce is still the problem. Still, 1 out of 2 end in divorce. And not only do the couple who are getting divorced struggle, but the children, the families, the love and the happiness gone. And it's hard for families to live together today. It is hard. And others go through the motions of togetherness at the dinner table. But after dinner, they get up and they go their own way. They split as soon as dinner is over. The disintegration of the family is a problem today. Children with 2 moms and 2 dads, and I got 2 mommies and I got 2 daddies, and all over the UK they've got all kinds of toilets. You think it's bad over here with 3? Over there they've got 4 toilets in some areas. I was asking the guy, what is this for? He said, this is for this, family, and this, and they have to build more and more restrooms for the children. And where do you go? Where do you go? And all of this is set forth as normal. And they're taught, this is normal, and this needs to be embraced, and we are judgmental if we don't. Young people are roaming the streets in search of values that are missing at home. More and more gasoline, mellow yellow, motor racing fluid, trying to get a high. The lost generation, what are they looking for? Acceptance. What we're all looking for. You're okay. You're okay. You're a good person. You're not a bad person. We all want this acceptance. And we do need answers to the pressing questions. And sometimes I think the church has failed. And we send them to these centres and this, that, and the other. The church has a responsibility to families in crisis. And there needs to be more teaching. Not enough strengthen one another. Build each other up in the holy faith. Encourage one another. Love one another. And we should not wait until the family gets to the explosive stage. When the horse is already bolted or the barn's already burning and we call the fire department. Families in crisis. They're not only isolated, they are alienated from each other. Stop going to church, more than likely they're out of step with God. Stop concerned about the kids, more than likely they're at war with God. How can you be at war with God and love your wife or your children or your neighbor? How can you be fighting with God and love those round about you? home life turns sour. Just notice, church life becomes sporadic, and some even quit altogether. And if they do attend service, their guilt feelings keeps them from getting involved. They think, I'd love to get involved, but I don't feel good enough. Let me tell you again, none of us are good enough. But thank God Jesus is perfect, and he went to Calvary to die on Calvary's tree that we could stand here today perfect in his eyes. When men turn away from God, whenever they refuse to accept the Word of God, when they refuse to keep God in their knowledge and they worship the creation rather than the Creator, Romans 1:28 and following, things are out of whack. What happened to us? A law-abiding nation, and now we're a lawless nation. What happened? We've struck down many of the laws that were designed to protect public virtue. And I didn't grow up. Maybe you did. You remember the smell of cooking when the kids come back from school? The TV show, Leave It to Beaver or something? I don't know what it was called. What was it called? Maybe you grew up in one of those homes. I didn't. I wish we did. I grew up in a home where Mum was working and Dad was working and the house was empty and cold, and if you want somebody to have to fix it. It wasn't all of this fancy stuff. But listen, honestly, family life has gone out of style. And many have turned away from God. They're not listening to God. What happened was, we built a society and its laws upon the Bible. Then gradually, we proceeded to tear one little bit at a time. We tore away the foundation. Of course our society is falling apart. And families are in crisis because we've turned away from God. We must get back to God. We must cease our rebellion. We got to repent of our sins. We are alienated from God. Please, you can disagree with me if you feel like it. It's okay. But I believe this with all of my heart. No man who is finding God can live happy at home. That's just how I feel. Call me wrong, call me stupid, call me... I don't care. If you're out of step with God, how can you be right with everyone round about? And no children will rebel against their parents who have not first rebelled against God. But God has a plan for our homes. Remember this, with money you can build a house. Add love to that house, you have a home. Add God to that home, and you have a temple. Never, never forget that God made you in His own image, and we will never be at our happiest until we're at home in His temple. The devil is on a mission, and his mission is to destroy. How does he wreck a home? He's crusading night and day against our families. 1 Peter 5:8. Be sober, be watchful. For your adversary, the devil, is going around like a roaring lion, seeking whom he may devour. And his goals are, let me just wreck this home. And if I can't wreck it completely, let me make it unhappy. And if I can't make them unhappy, let me separate them from the influence of God. And if that doesn't work, why don't we get one member in the family and use him? Use him as an instrument of wickedness. And let me tell you, he's making inroads. And he's trying to capture just one member in sin. And watch all the rest of the family. Playing, crying, and everything else. The devil wanted Eve alone. And he said, I want you to eat this fruit. He appealed to her desire to be free. Do as you please. And it worked. Genesis 3:6, she ate. With Eve under his control, Eve goes to her husband. And Genesis chapter 3 verse 6, she entices him. And then when God says, what's going on here? Didn't I tell you to stay away from that tree? You had all these other trees, but I told you to stay away from that one little tree. And here's what they said. First of all, they tried to hide. And they tried to flee from God. And then they soon realized that there was no way to do this, so they began to fight with each other. So they started to judge one another. The woman that you gave me, had you not given me her in the first place, I wouldn't have done this. So they started finger pointing at each other. They started to quarrel. They started to accuse one another. The serpent, the woman said, well, he blamed me, and then she blames the serpent. And it's called the blame game. Genesis 3, verses 12, 13. And paradise was lost. Driven out of the land of Eden, they tasted the bitter fruit. And having their sons corrupted, murder and everything else, find a weakness in just one member. And then use that one member to pry open, to destroy the family 100%. You know, it might be adultery, it might be any other sin. I don't know what the sin is, whatever it is, he will use you. Satan will hook you up. He will find the time, he will find the place, he will find everything. If your weakness is temper, he'll get you on I-65 in the morning at 7:30 in the morning when they're driving in front of you. And they're throwing up rocks at your windshield and they're cussing at you and they're giving you all kinds of sign. And you'll get out there and you'll get... If anger's your problem, just take I-65. Any morning at 7:30. You're 48, right? And you'll find it. Hey, he will find your weakness and he will gently pry open. And he will get you to turn away from God. You know what I really find the big problem is today? Is this true in your home? Is this true? Listen to me. We're just too busy. Where did my grandmother and grandfather get all that time to sit at the dinner table and talk with us? I use my mother's side. My mother's father and mother, he worked in the Belfast shipyard at Titanic, worked on the Titanic, his family members. And he was 89 years of age when he died. Every time I went to their home, there was a big table, sit down. And the tea was poured. And the wee scones and the wee bit. Where did they get the time? We don't have time to sit at the table. Tell the truth. Who sits beside the TV, controlling one hand and a plate in the other? Does anybody here do that? No? No, I'm glad you don't. But even you have family over, where's Dad? He's in his soft chair with a plate of, I'm checking the news. Where did they ever find the time? I'm serious. We don't even communicate with one another. You know this at the ball games, and I'm not, listen, I'm not knocking anyone. But I was at a soccer game with Little Austin football, Little Austin a couple of weeks ago. And this young fella who used to come to church here, married and got 3 of his own kids. He came trudging around the park to see me. And he was walking at me. He was trudging. And I said, what's wrong with you? He said, I'm tired. He said, I've already been, this was about 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock in the morning. He said, I've already been to one. He said, this is the second one. Then we've got to go to the third one. He said, we'll go home at 10 o'clock tonight and we'll be exhausted. This is just one little family with 3 little children. He said, then during the week she goes to dance. Mama goes to the Red Cross meetings and Dad works overtime to give them things that he never had. And he's trying to supply them all the food and everything that they never had, so he used to work for them, right? We don't have time for each other. When's the last time you sat down at the dinner table? And just thank God for the food and each other. We're too busy. Too busy. I know it's a rat race out. I know it. We no longer talk to each other. We get signals and signs, and Mama's passing Dad, and Dad's passing Susie, and Susie's passing Billy. I'll get a hamburger on the way home. I'll get a hot dog, and back, and there's just no time. The pressures of modern living is fast turning the home into a place, a family of strangers. They don't talk. They don't communicate. You know it. I won't be eating with you tonight. Got a ball practice. I got a meeting. I'm here, I'm there, I'm everywhere. And I'm telling you, there's knuckleball. You think I don't know all these? There's knuckleball, there's softball, there's travel ball, there's football, there's basketball, there's soccer, there's tennis, there's cheerleading. It exhausts me just talking about it. How do you young people do it? I don't know. I don't know, you're young. And then maybe it's the parent who's programmed to death. I remember sitting with a family of 2 little girls who have been through a lot. They're now women. One's been divorced and remarried 4 times. But I remember sitting with them one time years and years ago when they were that size. And I remember the first time I walked into their house, Dad said to me, he says, look at my kids, I want to show you the rooms. And their rooms were beautiful. And he had a 4-poster bed with a, and he said, what do you think of that? I just bought her that. That's beautiful. And he says, my kids will never have to do without the way I had to do without. I said, that's great. He was working 3 jobs. He says, my kids will have everything. You know, one of those little girls told me years later, you know all I wanted back then was not a 4-poster bed. You know what she said to me? All I wanted was my dad to come home and let me sit on his lap. Rube Adams kept a diary. Listen to me. He would make notes in his diary every single day. This day was a special day. He was only 8 years old, and he wrote, went fishing with my father today. The best day of my life. His father was a man by the name of Charles Francis Adams, who was Abraham Lincoln's ambassador to Great Britain. And he also kept a diary. And the same date and the same day, here's what he wrote, went fishing with my son today. Wasted day. God, give me the strength, give me the eyes to see what's important. Wasted day? Help me to see what's important. Lord, wouldn't it be wonderful to see the greatness and the commonplace offense of life? Maybe the things that I spend my days on doing are not that important. Maybe it's not that important anymore. Many a father and mother, long hours on the job, putting in, working themselves to an early grave, and you that little girl wants home and tell me you love me. You know what they want? They want a dad who loves them, who cares, who's not ashamed of, hey girl, I love you, that's my little girl, I love you, you're mine, and you're precious. Spend time with your family, please. Spend time with your family. We're going to finish in a few moments, and I want you to come and eat with us. Please come back to the fellowship room and eat, please. Let me tell you one last thing. Thomas Carlyle, tremendous writer, wrote fantastic. Married his secretary when he got a little older. She used to work for him, and he was just a boy. He was a splendid writer. They were married less than 2 years when she became ill with cancer. She was put to bed. You're going to have to stay. dead. Long before her death, it was nearly a year. But he dearly loved her. But he adored his work. And he kept on writing and writing and writing and writing. But he loved her. When she died, they took her body to the cemetery. And it rained all day. And the place was mud, dirt, water, rain. But after the funeral, Carlyle went back to his home, badly shaken, so upset. He went to his room, to her room, where she lay, and he sat in a little chair just beside her bed. And he picked up her little booklet where she would read every day, things that were going on. And he was leafing through it, and he stopped to read. One page that she'd written, here's what it said. Yesterday, he spent a long time with me, nearly an hour. I know he's very busy, but it was like being in heaven, just having him sit at the side of my bed for nearly an hour. Oh, how I love him. He started to cry. He started to flick through the pages, one more. A few pages later, there was another little writing. I listened all day for his footsteps. I was listening in the hall, just trying to hear the noise of him walking up the hallway. I guess he was so busy, he won't come today. Just broken. He rushed to the cemetery and his family, his friends found him. His face was in the mud, crying, crying, crying. And you know what he was saying over and over again? If only I had known. If only I had known, I'd have told her I loved her more. I'd have held her more. I'd have kissed her more. I'd have said I'm sorry more. If only I had known. He said, if only I had known. Don't let Satan alienate you. Don't let Satan distract you from the things that are important. Listen, please, don't go to bed angry. Don't go to bed mad. I heard of people who could stop talking to their spouse for 6 months at a time. I hope there's nobody in here who pulls that record, right? Don't do that. Talk, communicate, and tell the ones you love every single day, I love you. I love you. Because you may not have another day. So tell them. I don't know where your heart is this morning. I don't know what's going on in your life. I don't know if you've got any needs, but if you do, we're here. We're here for you. And we want to help you. And we want to love you. And we want you to be happy. And we want you to be at Green Ridge. We love the church here at Green Ridge. We're so happy. It's unbelievable. It's like a little bit of heaven on earth. We're so happy. We want you to be a part of it. Come back and see us. Let's stand together and sing the song of encouragement. Please.